Hello, everyone. Anyone who may be a little bit perplexed as to what this is doing here, since this is an Aurora track review, I felt like it was fitting for me to show off my version of the game Unravel's lead character, Yarny, which is a Scandinavian game that Aurora has lent her voice to in promotion for. So I figured it's like vaguely tied to Aurora because it's Scandinavian and it's cute and it's like a little fun creature, cute. And I made one myself this weekend. That just proves I probably either had too much time on my hands or obviously I had other things I needed to be doing, but this is exactly what I ended up doing. So that's just how things are. So he'll be just sort of chilling. So without further ado, now this is not something I saw coming. I don't know. I'm not exactly in the know for Aurora and like what's about to happen. But I wasn't expecting to hear new music from her anytime soon. That doesn't mean necessarily not this year. I just didn't think the first month of 2019 we would be getting a new song. Coming right off, Infections of a Different Kind, Step 1, the EP/album that was released in September, which I have given a review for and I will link in the description, which I loved. We have another track that was hinted at for a long time and was performed live at least a year ago. I know at Lollapalooza in Brazil at least once. And a lot of people were curious as to why that song didn't show up on the first track list of songs that she put out back in September. And that's because she has more songs that she's been working on. And there is a step 2 and probably a step 3, maybe even more than that. We don't know how many steps there are to this oeuvre of work that is Infections of a Different Kind. And I'm curious to see how many, and how far apart these things are released as, because if she's releasing 2 steps and they're both 8 songs, well, that equals about one 14th song album, which is pretty standard. But if there's more than 2 steps, then we're going into like 20 songs. And I'm curious to see how this, expands over the periods of time. I mean, could the idea get a little stale? Might she want to try something different? I'm not sure. Time will tell. Animal is a song that, like Queendom, the lead single that came for the first step, is definitely geared toward mainstream pop radio. You can hear that in the production and in the enthusiastic delivery that Aurora has when she belts out those chorus lines: hunting for love, killing for pleasure, lost in a concrete jungle. In the lyrics, Aurora is painting a picture of a individual who is trying to make a way for themselves in a modern day city, trying to figure out who is really worth pursuing in forms of love and relationships, who is not really in their best interest, discovering all of these things out for themselves, and the pent up sort of frustration that builds. Aurora said that this song was supposed to be about all of the ways in which a human can tap into the animal instincts as it pertains to particularly love. Lyrically, this is territory that Aurora has trod before, comparing human interaction to animal primal instinct. I think that's a trait of her songwriting that is, I don't want to say predictable, but it's definitely it's something we've come to expect, and I don't have any problems with that. Obviously, there's that childlike kind of allusion to things that are a lot more instinctual rather than things that we make very complicated in our own heads, but realizing through and through that we are all just animals and we all have needs, and some are good and some are bad. And understanding that is important in analyzing what you're doing in your actual space to either form or destroy relationships with other people. The music video shows Aurora in an urban environment, and it shows her in a cage breaking free to go into a club and attempt to join in with everyone else, as there's a lot of actual carnage going on in some ways, where people are biting into each other and people are kissing, and it's like a painful kind of way of expressing the interaction of love, and it's expressing it in a dark way in some respects. And it's, I think, making the point of how, like a vampire, love can be vampiric and it can suck the life out of people. It can also be this driving force that keeps us going. And the way Aurora kind of portrays herself as this crazed intruder into this scene, or someone who doesn't feel as though they belong in where they are. They've been caged, they've been brought out from the wild into this urban environment and are suddenly like rebelling against it, trying to figure out who to talk to, who to interact with, what are they doing. There's this part where she seems to be eating eggs and then taking them out and putting them in a sink. Imagery that's very intriguing, that I think helps the music video kind of add some more to the otherwise what some people may consider kind of mundane environment, which is very much done in pop music to death, which is, the idea of, someone being in a club and finding the special energy on the dance floor. It's not exactly territory I expected to see Aurora tread in terms of visuals. But I understand that there are creative directors behind this. It's not entirely always her vision on the forms of the music video itself. Just have to take into account that they're trying to be, to some extent, a bit more mainstream in their focus and target audience. And you know what? For big singles, for Aurora's music, I think we just need to come to expect that. Aurora is, yes, our hidden Nordic fairy that we kind of associate with non-mainstream, but her label and her team, I can sense, and Aurora too, are still, and I think artfully doing so, are still trying to experiment with breaking into a more mainstream pop market with her music. And so the singles are those attempts, and sometimes it works better than others. I would definitely say this is her most upbeat song since Conqueror and Warrior off of her first album. I don't honestly think that there was even a song on the first step of Infections that was quite this level of upbeat, although Forgotten Love comes close. And so for people who have been missing that sort of energy, I think this song brings that to a whole new level. And I think it's refreshing. And I'm excited to see what is to come with the rest of this step of how many songs, however many it's going to be, step two. And when that may be coming as well, because at this point, all bets are off. It could be coming in a few months. It could be coming a year from now. Just the fact that she released the song now doesn't necessarily make me sure that it's coming soon. But I think it's utilizing a very strong chorus that emphasizes her frenetic energy in her vocals as she delivers these punctuated yells and screams as she's shouting this chorus that she is an animal. You can hear that primal nature to her voice, and I think that that's one of the triumphs of the composition and the actual sonics, because it really does stick in your mind and have that presence. And I think the song needs it. It's an extroverted type of track and it needs to assert itself. So again, maybe a little bit stronger than some of her other more upbeat pop songs from her first step of Infections of a Different Kind. But, that has its own special place. I had heard the live version, and I do think that there is this theme of the live version sounding slightly more raw, and the instrumentals being richer and the layering sounding, I don't know, everything sounding just, even though it's a recorded of like a live concert, everything actually sounds much more cohesive together. And I feel as though the mixing, although I don't notice it so much on this track, but I definitely complained of how that on several tracks on step one, that I do lament that I think the live versions are almost stronger in a way than their mastered studio versions. But for Animal's sake, I think that it's more of what I would expect from a studio version converted from the live. But I did feel like I did need to add that I do still feel like there was something special about these live performances. The ambiance was just possibly a little bit more ethereal. And that's sort of stripped away for a much more kind of, I don't want to say simplistic, but a much more traditional kind of pop synth beat that is a little flatter in terms of tone, and with the mixing of her vocals. But this song feels better mixed than some of the other songs. Like Forgotten Love felt a little murky. So I just felt like I would add that in. So anyway, any Aurora fans, thank you for watching, and let me know in the comments what you think about this track. And hopefully we'll be seeing more music from her coming up soon, possibly in the next few months. We'll see. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope you all have a wonderful, blessed day. Peace, love, and light. Bye.